Hey guys, welcome back. This is Anthony with ARE Drywall and Drywall Repair here in North Texas. If you're just tuning in or this is your first time on my channel, thank you for coming. What I'm doing is putting together a drywall finishing series, right? And the way that I'm doing this series is I'm building it precept upon precept, meaning that I'm taking it foundational as it builds upon each other. So if you watch my other videos, we started out with framing, explaining it. We framed up this module behind me, and then we went into hanging the drywall, showing how to do the cuts and measurements and whatnot. Those are in previous videos. We're going to be going into the drywall finishing aspect of this series in the next few videos starting after this. But before I go over there, I just wanted to follow up a couple things. So if I were to summarize what framing is making sure that your frames are squared and you're on center of whatever your counts are. As long as your framing is square and your studs are on center for whatever they need to be, then you're not going to have an issue when it comes to hanging. When you hang, you just want to make sure that you're making direct contact with the studs that are behind there. You don't want anything that's loose or hanging off or barely hanging on by the edge of a screw, because that's going to strengthen the board, and when there is movement or shifting, it's going to lessen the damage that's happening. Where if there's just a piece that's hanging off and there's some movement, there's going to be a crack. Some cracks you can't avoid because of the way that the drywall is hung or the way that the break of the drywall goes on the studs, but you want to try to minimize those as much as possible. So again, some things I just want to reiterate that this is a module. It's not perfect. Some of it I actually messed up on purpose so that way I can teach you when it comes to the finishing part. Other parts I just messed up. I'm not a hanger by trade. I learned how to do it so I could take the taping jobs. I take the painting jobs because I want the drywall finishing part of it. That's my bread and butter, and that's what I want to teach in this series. You can take some jacked up, janky looking drywall and make it something that is almost a piece of art, if you will, because your finishing will be so good, and that's what I want to teach you guys. But real quick on the screw patterns, what I did not mention in one of the other videos is if you're using 5/8 drywall, you're going to use 1 5/8 inch screws. If you're using 1/2 inch, you want to use 1 1/4 screws. And if you're going into wood studs, you want to use a coarse screw, meaning that the threading on it is coarse. Let's see if you guys can see that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's real wide. They sell fine threaded, which is more for the aluminum or the metal framing, to go into that. But this gives it more where it sticks in, and when you try to pull it out, it's not going to pull out as easy. Nails don't have that. Obviously, a nail is just a smooth material or whatever, and so when those pull or pop, then you have that issue where it's gradually sliding out. Again, with the screws, the reason I like to use screws and I impress using screws is because it gives you some teeth to grab onto, and it's not going to pull back so much. Again, also with the pattern of the nail pattern on your fills, which is the open area, right? There's no joint here. It's just the open area. You're going to go 12 inches. So on a 4-foot sheet, which is 48 inches height, we talked about that in the drywall video, you're going to have actually 5 screws, because from the top of it to your first foot, that's 1 foot, and then you're gonna have 3. So 1, 2, 3, your bottom one is 4, but you have to put one at the top. So you're gonna have 5 in 1 row at a foot apart. Now again, on the butt joints, where the two ends of the drywall meet together, you have a butt joint here. Depending on where you're at, your municipality, your codes, what it's gonna require is anywhere from 4 to 6, 6 to 8 inches. I just do it at 8. I probably could do it at 6, and you're gonna stagger those, right? You're gonna do screw on the board. You're just gonna kind of zigzag back and forth within each other, and you'll be fine with that. The last thing I want to say about the screw pattern is, because you have your studs where you're at, you're also gonna want to do on the bottom and at the very top, add screws in between. So let's just say you have 4 studs, you're gonna add 6 screws, because you're gonna have your 4 studs that you screw off to, and then you're gonna put screws in between, you know, for 1 sheet, whatever, you're gonna put, you know, an extra 10 screws or whatever it may be. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Again, I know my drywall looks tore up, but if it was perfect and it was clean, then I wouldn't be able to teach you anything. So let's get into the next module.